Hey friends, welcome to the Zone of Expandedness. I'm Chris. I'm glad you could stop by the Consciousness Salon today while we talk about surrender. Since the earliest times, spiritual practice on this planet has talked about the value of surrender in your spiritual journey. So what does that even mean? Surrender means to give up and to give your power to somebody else, some other force. That's what surrender is all about. So what does surrender even mean? And when we are surrendering, who are we even surrendering to? And finally, in your three main themes and tips about surrender today, I'll be talking about some things to avoid and to keep in mind when you are in this process of surrendering. So sit back and let's check out the journey of surrender. So I hear a lot of talk in spiritual circles about this concept of surrender, and it's been around since the earliest practices on this planet of spirituality. And there is such great benefit to this exercise and this practice of surrender. You could also call it letting go, but let's unpack this a little bit. What does it mean to surrender? Because if you look into the dictionary and you think about the traditional terms of non-spiritual circles, surrender means to give up, to give your power over to somebody else. Like there is a struggle taking place of some kind, and you put your hands up in the air and you say, okay, I surrender. So in spiritual practice, what is it you're surrendering to? Like, what are you giving up on? And it's mostly the workings of your mind. Let's face it, this is a wonderful tool. It's a wonderful friend. But man, does it ever screw things up. A lot of the time. Because the mind is a great servant, but it's not a great master. And we put it in the master role in our lives. And don't be so hard on yourself for doing this. We all do it. It's what we're taught. This is, look around at this matrix, at this world we live in. That's primarily what's going on. It's why it's such a shit show. It's why it's such chaos. Because we think the primary tool to address our situation and our journey in life is our mind. When it's really our heart-centered consciousness and the deeper layers and levels of our beingness that should be the guide. Or if you let it be the guide, you will see, well, my experience, a lot more positive results. But we have this habit of mind and mental thought and repetitive thinking and shitty ideas and programming, and we're in a collective consciousness, so we get a lot of input from other people. Could be our friends, could be our family, could be our lovers, could be just the world around us, what we see and we hear and we digest media. And these ideas are in our head. And often we just have this experience in life where we're just like going into the ditch. We're going along a path and it's like, oh shit, I'm in the ditch again, you know, like pulling myself out of the ditch because we're following the workings of the mind. So that's mostly what we're surrendering to. When we say, oh my God, I'm just going to give it all up. I'm giving it to God. I surrender. We're surrendering from that side of ourselves. Which brings us to the next theme. What are we surrendering to when we surrender? When we say, I give up on my mind and all its lousy ideas that just keep running me into the ditch and giving me an unsatisfying, unfulfilling life. So then what are we surrendering to? And often I hear from people, there's just this notion, I'm surrendering to God. I'm surrendering to the universe. I'm surrendering to spirit. So I think it's helpful for us to just understand what it is we're surrendering to. Even if we say, God, I'm giving it all up to God, it doesn't exactly work that way because you are a part of God. There is just a oneness going on here. We're in a very dense, specific type of reality when we take human form and we rip around down here in these avatars and have all these experiences where there's this really strong illusion of separateness. I'm me, you're you, you're not me, and I'm not you. And we're separate beings, and all these things in this building I'm in are separate from me. There is this grand illusion, and it's brilliant, and it's a really good illusion, but it's still an illusion. There's just a oneness going on here. So when we say we are giving ourselves up to God, from this perspective, from the human perspective, we reinforce this experience again and again that God is something separate. Higher dimensional beings, be they Buddhas or enlightened masters or whatever we try to connect with, angels, higher dimensional frequencies, things that we call God or the universe or the divine or creation. We have a lot of words for it because the true essence of it is hidden from us down here. We're scuba diving, we're underwater. When we're done in this body, we're going to go back up to the surface and we're going to have a very clear picture of what it's like not underwater, but on the land or out in the air. And we're going to see this from a much different perspective. But while we're here, we come up with all these ideas and concepts like God, like creation, like the universe, and we somehow think of it as sort of like separate, that it's not us, it's this other being that is somehow guiding us, that is somehow influencing our life. That's why there's such a tradition on this planet of prayer, that we have to put our hands together and we have to say words and we have to, talk to this being that is separate from us. And if we ask it certain things or, interact with it in a certain way, then we're going to be bestowed with goodness, gifts, our life's going to start going in, positive directions that they weren't previously. But it's all an illusion. It's all just you. We are multi-dimensional, multi-layered beings, and we're connected in a way like the leaf out on a little twig on the branch of a big tree is connected all the way down to the big trunk into the roots that go into the ground. And as we're waving out on the little twig, being the leaf that we are, and we think that's all we are is this leaf, but no, we're connected to the bigger thing. So when we say we're going to surrender to God, I'm going to surrender to creation, and I'm going to surrender to something else, it's really another aspect of ourselves. Now that doesn't mean it's not a good thing to do, because these other aspects and dimensions and layers of ourselves, they're pretty good. The higher self, which I've been connecting to for, some time now on deeper levels, it feels really good. And it gives me really good guidance because it's this human side, being Chris, that's all mixed up with beliefs and programming and ideas and emotions and experiences that I've had that have been traumatic and have caused me anxiety and all my neuroses and all these sorts of things. That lens that I operate out of and view the world from, the Chrisness of my experience, that's what gives me all that distortion in the field. That's what I'm trying to surrender from. I'm trying to get out of this lens of distortion that is me. And it's a wonderful lens. We're here to experience that lens. We create that lens and then we look through it at the world and we have all these experiences. But behind the lens, the deeper levels of yourself, call it your higher self, the soul, the oversoul. Again, we got lots of different terms and concepts behind it. We talk about spirit guides. We talk about star family, soul family, these other beings that we can connect to that are helpful on our journey. And when you take the perspective of here I'm the human, then that's how it appears. But it's still just aspects of yourself in the oneness. So when we're surrendering, and we say, I'm surrendering to God, I'm surrendering to creation, we're really surrendering to just higher dimensional aspects of ourselves. And it's a good thing to do, because those higher dimensional aspects, if you connect to your higher self, to your soul, to your star family, the guidance and the trueness that we get through that connection, as far as guidance to the path that gives you the most satisfaction and happiness and ease and peace and fulfillment on this journey, that compass is what leads you to that promised land. So if you call it God, great. You call it creation, you call it the universe, I'm giving myself up to the deep, sweet vibes of everythingness, whatever name you give it to, higher self, you name it. It's kind of all the same thing, because there's really just one thing called the oneness that we're all a part of, and it's all connected. So it's this mind and this lens of this personality and this person that we take ourselves to be that is the challenge. And it's all its distortions and all its traumas and memories and opinions and beliefs we have. I mean, that's what we're here to experience. That is why we came down here to rip this human lifetime, in order to have that distortional lens. Because when we get out of here, we're going to have a much wider perspective, and we're going to see what it actually fuck is going on around here. But we're kind of stuck in this limited perspective, which is cool, and also can be really tiring and a pain in the ass. So we're trying to get out of that. Surrender. I give up. Fuck, I don't want to think these thoughts anymore. Just let me out of here. But number 3 here on our themes of the day about surrender is, the thing you have to be careful about is this belief in surrender that I'm giving up. Like, you don't want to drive the bus of your life anymore. Like, you want to get out of the driver's seat. And you say, I'm just going to give it all up to God. Well, you still have to drive the bus. Like, you cannot just relinquish your responsibility for this lifetime and this being that you are. And if you do, and if you want to give your power away to beings out there, there's beings that will take it, and you have to be careful. It's not this benevolent God that you think of is going to be this person that takes your power away. That exists. It's out there in all its wonderful magical forms, this being a wonderful magical universe. But there's also distortion, and there's also beings out there, they're willing to take your power, because that just, sure, I'll take your power. There's a lot of that going on in this matrix. There's a lot of stories being told about the beings that just live off of the human energy fields, and we just willfully give away our power to them. So if you're surrendering, make sure you're surrendering to the deeper, truer, benevolent aspects of yourself, and don't just think, fuck it, I'm out of here, I'm not driving the bus of my life anymore, because you have to maintain that responsibility, and you can't give your power to anybody out there. It is the purest gem, precious thing that you own, is your sovereignty. And your essence of you is this individual expression of consciousness in this whole universe. You give that up, fuck, you got nothing. And it exists out there. There's a lot of beings out there that have given away their power, and you just kind of, it's not the place you want to be. So just be careful on your journey and in your intention about what you're actually doing when you surrender. Yes, you want to get out of your mind. Yes, enough of this, shit show, Chaosville of the mental energy and the collective consciousness we have around here. But what we're aiming to surrender to is the more evolved, higher dimensional aspects of ourself that do reflect back to us and express themselves as God, as creation, as the universe, on the multi-dimensional infinity in all direction layers that this experience is. So just hold on to your sovereignty. Hold on to your responsibility. This is the challenge that you're here for. To live this life and to be challenged. If it's in the ditch right now and you've made shitty decisions, we all make shitty decisions. I'm the king of shitty decisions. And you can still pull yourself out of it. You know, you can always pull yourself out of it. Yes, it might be challenging. Yes, it might not feel good. All those sorts of things. But stay in your own power and pull yourself out of it, and it will be a much more rewarding experience on the soul level of your journey, that you did this yourself, not, oh, I'm just giving up to let God kind of drive my bus. You know, no, you're still the bus driver. You can get help. You can get support. You can align to all kinds of wonderful frequencies and energies and beings that are out there to support you, but they're supporting you. You keep that control, the sovereignty of your journey, no matter what. Yeah. Whoo! And if you need support, because we all need support at times, I have services as a conscious life coach, awakening guide. I really enjoy working with people at all levels of their development, no matter what you're going through. The human journey is fascinating, no matter where you are. Sometimes we get lost. Sometimes we get stuck. Hell, I know I've been lost and stuck myself. And sometimes a coach, a guide, someone to listen, you know the answers. You know where you want to go. It's just, sometimes it's just a little bit tangled up. And sometimes it's a little help just untangling the knots and getting you in a clearer direction. And it can be a wonderful thing to invest in yourself, to spend some money, to invest in your own journey. There's really nothing else that's more worthwhile than your deepest happiness, ease, peace, and fulfillment. And then the rest of it just falls into place. So all my contact info is down below. I'm a pretty easy guy to get in touch with if that inspires you in any way. And just all the best love and encouragement and peace on your journey. It's hard being human. You're doing great. It's a fucking shit show down here. Don't be so hard on yourself. Just do what you can in the moment. And pretty soon those moments all add up. And bam. You're all of a sudden in a different place. Okay. Peace, my friends. Lots of love.